Hello guys and welcome to SickBiker Studio. Today it's time to give you my feedback on Marin Bobcat Trail 4 mountain bike, which is the amateur or recreational mountain bike. It costs $650, just roughly around that, and testing of this bike was pretty brutal. This bike has been with me when designing our first testing MTB loop on SickBiker channel. And on this bike I went for some MTB race a week ago when I was commenting for my Polish channel, and I wasn't bad at that race at all. A couple of general info. We have a bike for $650 and it's a 29er on the aluminum alloy frame. It's the Series 2 of Marin. Marin say it is a very light frame. I did not just remove all the parts and weigh it, so I don't know, but I had no issues in terms of stiffness of the frame and handling of the bike, so I was happy with that. Components, we get here Shimano Altus and Acera with the Santur crankset, which is the cheap one, square tapered one, but it wasn't very flexy, so it's okay. There was no cheating here for those $650 because we don't have, for example, very cheap mechanical disc brakes, which sometimes can be even worse than V-brakes. I mean, V-brakes can be very good, but here we got Shimano's hydraulic brakes, which work very fine. So sometimes like for example with the Marin Argenta or Gestalt, which were good bikes, I thought they were just a bit too expensive. This one for $650, I don't know, $660 maybe in your country, is really good price, so let's go into the details. So the frame, the welds are made very evenly. There was no smoothing on those welds, but it doesn't matter here. We don't want to maybe pay more for smoothing the welds, but since they are just strong and look quite neat, it looks all just fine. The paint is matte. What's the color? Tell me, what's the color? Is it like dark blue? I would say it's like a jeans trousers color, and it looks pretty good. I like it. 73mm wide bars and 60mm of the length in the stem, plus the so-called sport geometry of the frame. I would say this bike is really comfortable. If you're not very flexy, you didn't get used to the position on the bike, this Bobcat Trail will put you in some comfortable position so that you can even spend a couple of hours on each ride. Even though, as I always say, the saddle is super personal thing, this one is pretty comfortable. I didn't have any issues with that during my testing and the race, MTB race I went for, so also thumbs up for this. And the fork, Santur XCM28. So the stanchions are pretty thin. It is quite flexy. It has already some little play just out of the box. As you can see, it loses also some of the, it looks like a grease actually, that should be kept inside by those seals, but these are not really made with the precision, so that's the disadvantage. But I would say, this was my feeling, it's better to have such a fork if you go over the roots or some rocks than not having any fork. So if you go for some smooth trails, I would say the rigid one would be better. But if you want to try this mountain biking and you don't have huge budget, maybe you will save some money in the future for some air shock in the front, this may be some starting point. The Shimano's hydraulic brakes are the SMBH59, and these are just good brakes. Some of my viewers on the Polish channel were asking me to compare this bike, $650 versus my FSI, which is, I don't know, $5,000 or so, which would be just unfair to do. I would probably do it anyway, but the brakes, when I compare these brakes with the 160mm disc front and rear to my MT race on Cannondale, I don't really, honestly, I don't feel so much difference in terms of the braking power. Those on my Cannondale would be maybe more high temperature resistant, but these are just strong enough. I've been racing on this bike and had no issues with braking suddenly, hitting those corners, no problem with that, so very good. Shifting, what does the Santur crankset with Acera rear derailleur and Altus front derailleur do? I would say it is pretty awesome actually. There's just one place here in between the fourth and the third sprockets on the cassette. When you don't push the shifter well enough, sometimes the derailleur has to just think for a while, but it's not a problematic at all. I've been testing this one in the racy condition under load, changing gears very, suddenly, rapidly, when accelerating. No issues with that. But of course, I wouldn't be myself if I haven't found some failure, and it's here. So as you hopefully hear, the rear tire is rubbing against the front derailleur. Why is it so? It's not because the wheel is out of true. It's not like perfectly true, but your tire should never touch the front derailleur. I think I should just readjust the front derailleur a little bit, moving it just outwards, the plate outwards a little bit, but it seems like the plate is already parallel to the chainrings in the front, and that's how it should be. So I'm gonna try not to mess up with the shifting and get rid of this sound. And when I'm going on the lowest gear, pushing really hard on the uphill, this will be very, very loud. So Marin say this bike should weigh 14.4 kilograms, which is not according to my scale, because my scale with the pedals I have weighs 15.2, so without the pedals that should be 14.84, 83, something like that. If I was super beginner cyclist and I didn't have a lot of power in my legs, I would think about choosing 27.5 versus 29er. For me, my choice would be 29er. It rolls fine, you can go for some marathons, it will be durable enough to go, not for like extreme cross country, not for all mountain, not at all, but for some marathons, long rides will be just fine. If you like cornering or you are not very good technically, the 27.5 might be also a good choice, so that'd be maybe one option I would really consider very, very well. So that should be really thought out choice here. But this bike, quite good at this price. I'm saying SickBiker likes it. This bike is sick. So thanks for watching. If you have any of Bobcat bikes, let us know how do they perform in your terrain, your riding style, and I'm gonna meet you very, very soon. Bye bye.